It's the 29th of January. And this, I'm going to show you tonight's show. I'm going to get into some things. I'm going to prove to you that a lot of lies been told. I'm not really that involved. I said I hadn't been going anything, but I made a surprise guest appearance at the BCC tonight. I'm not taking on new issues, but I'm certainly not going to go down in flames when I know what's been going on. I'm going to share this information. It's impossible to tell you what a shit show it was tonight. I hadn't been in a long time, but hey, you ain't got nothing to lose sometimes. And I knew that Clay had stuck his foot in his mouth far enough now that I could take his own words and use them against him. For weeks, Clay's been telling and beating up people over Sandestin, and he beat up Tabitha Hauer over it, saying, we've never had an NOPC for drainage. There's never been this, and our engineers haven't admitted that, and they haven't asked for it. And today that all came unwound, and I'm going to show you in this video coming up. So, sometimes it's about principle. And what you're seeing here today and tonight is just a violation of people's constitutional rights. All I want is what's fair. And somehow, these people think I shouldn't be pissed off that I spent 17 or 18 years while I watched the staff just simply lie. And we'll talk about some things, and I'll stop, but I'm going to let Donna start off because she had some good points. I'll tell you this. Planning and the administration, whoever built the packages for voting on the boards tonight, you've never seen such a group of monkeys up there trying to pass around the peanuts. I mean, it was just total disorganization. You might as well be trying to feed milk and food to puppies. It was the most disorganized vote, and they spent more time and dissertation on that, way more than they wanted to talk about Sandestin, where the county engineering department spent millions, in my opinion, covering up non-compliance and adding to it. And they knowingly did so. So I'm gonna go into that. I've got some emails to write to the commissioners, but I'm glad I won't be living there. I'm glad I'm closing this stuff up because you just get sick of it. For years I have fought this, and it just ain't worth it. But I mean, you shouldn't have to beg your government to do their constitutional job and have to worry that they're going to hide behind policies where they try not to tell the truth. Watch everything that Clay does not want to talk about in public, and it's our money that it's going to end up costing while they try to cover up this lie. Well, there's so many people involved in this, it's really ridiculous. So without that, I'll let Donna get started here. Hold on. So Donna's going to get started here with her first item, and she's going to get into HR. And if you didn't know this, we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars for a 5-month study about HR, but our real problem in HR is sexual harassment. And basically Stan's using them to go through the books. Just watch this thing come unfold, and I'll point out the bad stuff, okay?
And I don't remember how many meetings ago it was. It wasn't that long ago that we hired the group, not a group, but a part of FAC.
That's the body language of Stan.
What is his title? I mean, you reached out to them to basically help HR.
The Krisner Group is the employment law firm that is supported through FACT.
Okay, so my question is, what are we, I mean, we're spending a lot of money on this, and I don't know what the purpose is. And what is the purpose of them?
So what she's getting at is this. Nathan Curvin's being allowed to be resigned instead of should be being fired. And they're trying to figure out what's wrong, but he's quitting over, it appears, sexual harassment allegations, but we don't know. Look at Brad's got his head down. Nobody wants to talk about it. Danny knows it's a bad subject. Dan's trying to listen, and Stan's whole head's thermometer head, okay? So the bottom line is we've now hired the people to go through our policy that wrote our policy. That's not what we need, is what Donna's saying. They should be out there investigating who did all this sexual harassment. And, if Nathan was doing it, is that why Stan's okay with doing the stuff he's doing with Tony's aide? Remember, Stan's wife came up there and wanted to snatch the hair out of Tony's aide But no, but Donna's worried about my decorum. Come on, Donna. There's no decorum here. There's just truth and consequences. Okay? But Donna's right. What the hell are we hiring these people to do? They need to go look into what Nathan was doing. And you know, Wade Wilmuth was accused of sexual harassment and got a promotion, is in charge of our records. They need to be looking into that. You really want to look into something, Donna? Look into when Stan hired Tony Corman and look at their relationship from the sheriff's department. Who hired Tony there? It was Stan. He got him on. And who did Stan hire in the sexual harassment stuff? He hired Boots' aide, which is Breezy. And Stan and Breezy and all used to run around back in the day. Her and her husband, they all ran around like big friends. This is just and guess what? Guess who Michael Gainey is? He's working for Tony Corman. When I talk about complaints later, Stan thinks his own people are going to investigate their bosses. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But Donna's right here. What are we doing? Listen to them. Watch Stan backpedal. Because how are any of the employees going to have any faith in Stan? I sure don't. He's a liar and he looks at me hostile. To fuck you, Stan. Go ahead. Tell him how fucked up he is.
Our HR
Because he was
director has
creating
resigned,
chaos.
effective next Friday. And this Mr. Krisner, or not Mr. Krisner, what's his name? JJ?
Mr. Krisner has sent one of his employees, his name is JJ Jarrell. He is on the ground. He was here yesterday. He's here today. Spoke with him this morning. To answer your question, he is currently going through and performing
So we've
audits.
hired a guy. Now right there, the guy speaking is part of our problem. And so we put him in charge of investigating his own friends. Do y'all see the problem with this stupid thing? We didn't need desk audits. We need the accusations of HR misbehavior looked into and some recommendations made to this board. That's what Donna's getting at.
He is determining workflows, and through that, what are the efficiencies, what are the inefficiencies?
Why is he doing
he
that?
is looking
That's not
at,
what our problem
the
was. These are the
department's
same people that
organizations.
wrote the rules that are supposed to be making our efficiencies. Our problem is we have internal gotchas on everybody. We've had sexual escapades, people lying to help developers. We got code people who'd have to inspect their own bosses. We got complaints that are missing. We got all this crap going on. And Tony's worried about job descriptions. Hell, we have these lawsuits. We've sold land for $1.3 million less than we owed on it. I mean, just go on and on. But we're looking into workflows. Like, what the hell?
Structure. One of the things that we're currently dealing with is we have 3 vacancies, 2 of which are generalist vacancies. 1 is a manager vacancy, and we're about to have the director's vacancy. So he has kind of pivoted to assisting with recruiting and hoping to fill some of those vacancies, but at the same time evaluating policies, procedures, and current
Policies,
processes to see if
procedures,
there
and
are
processes.
areas for
That's
for
not what
improvement.
our problem is, Stan.
Right now,
It's people playing hide the booger and stuff, and panty digging, and all the other crap that's gone on, and pass off the naked woman, and naming all the accusations of sexual harassment and code and HR. And you're worried about processes. We're worried about integrity is what Donna's getting at. We need a new administrator, one with integrity.
you know, I think it's imperative that we get some management staff in place over there, because we're about 33% down in employees in that department currently.
Didn't the Krisner group, didn't they write our policy right now? I believe it went from about 17 pages a couple years ago to 148 pages, I believe now, which gave the HR director a lot of power. and they wrote it, and it seems interesting to me that they wrote it. He's in there checking to see what they wrote.
I wasn't here, so I'm not sure that they wrote it. I would think that we wrote it. Now, it's been a practice of theirs to give us counsel and evaluate those employment law policies. They have definitely reviewed those in the past, but as far as the exercise, when it was revised and updated 2 years ago, I can't speak to that directly.
Well, my concern is that I don't know or believe that it's beneficial for us to, I thought when we brought this up before, this came on the heels of the investigation that was done by another firm on our director of HR. And this came on the heels of that. I had hoped that because new information had come out, that we would
Imagine
have another
that.
investigation that
Stan
would really
doesn't
dig
like this at
into
all.
what was going
He
on
was
in there,
steering it where
because
he
there's
wanted
so
it.
much turnover in there, and there's a lot of how do I want to put this? There's a lot of unsatisfied people in that office, and it's really in a bad turmoil right now. And you and I received an email today from one of the individuals that works in there about the situation there, that is just not a good situation. And I don't know why we're spending so much money to have an individual in there, and we have all this chaos going in there. And I just don't like the idea of, I think we scheduled him for 6 months, and he was supposed to be here for 2 weeks. I've asked for a couple of meetings to meet with him. I've not met with him. I just don't know that we're benefiting or that we need to be spending that money on that.
Okay, so this board approved that agreement. It was a 5-month.
Yeah,
agreement.
but Stan, they didn't
We're
approve
about
you
2.5
skipping
months into
over
that
what
5-month
they
agreement.
did in that. She's not saying that she wants to, she didn't
As I
want
said,
them for
those are the
5.5 months, but if they'd have done 5.5 months of investigating what you couldn't get investigated, like my code complaints and how you hired Tony Corman and how Michael Gainey worked for you at the sheriff's department, and basically my code complaints would make Michael have to investigate Tony, then why didn't y'all give this to an agency like you do every other thing? I mean, it's basically a criminal accusation that people refuse to enforce the law. But nobody's concerned about that. Stan's worried about processes. Oh, Lord, Stan. And we can't believe it. And you're one of them, Stan.
Things that are happening, we do have, you are correct, we do have some personnel issues over there. And we're about to have no management. So, yes, we have issues. I spoke to the consultant this morning regarding the email you just mentioned. He has quite a different version of what happened.
The details are in Tony's
So,
aide's panties.
Yes, ma'am, we are dealing with personnel issues. Like I said, I'm not going to get into
Can't get into
details.
them, or you
but
can't.
He has assured me that he will do what he can to assist us in transitioning from where we are today.
And why isn't he
to
fired?
New leadership.
Do we have any applicants for that position as director?
We do.
So basically,
We do.
Nathan's getting fired
His last
because
day
his wife
is
came
February
forward
7th.
and said
The
he was having all these
advertisement
affairs
for
at
that
work
position
for his
doesn't even
subordinates.
close until the
Guess
9th.
what Stan's doing? So that's
so
why
one
they're
thing
letting
that
him
we're-
resign, because if they fire him, won't they have to fire Stan? Isn't Stan conflicted? I'm tired of this shit, Stan. You've lied enough to me, son.
We're doing right now is we're beginning to look at those applications that we currently have, and if there are desirable candidates there, we will begin the interview process even before the advertisement closes.
So they're 3.5 months into this contract, and the guy still hadn't come
He was
around to
gonna go
ask
around
the
and talk to all
commissioners
of us,
what they
right?
want looked
Yes, and
into.
I have
Because
relayed that.
Stan is steering
I know
that
that he
thing
has
around
not.
like he's escorting a Playboy bunny around a football game. He wants to make sure it doesn't go anywhere it ain't supposed to.
ask the question, but I can only assume at this point that he has a sequence of events that, you know, he is following with his assessment.
Well, since he's been here, I mean, we're kind of dropping like flies in that department. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure that this should be a top priority. And I know you're working hard to fill that director seat, but this is a big issue. I mean, this is human resource. This is a major department.
He did assist with interviews and the hiring process for a manager.
What he means is we didn't like
The
that
top
person.
candidate that
Good
came
Lord,
out of that
Stan.
process.
I mean,
Just, quite frankly,
this
did not
guy
meet
has,
the
you
education
commission, look at it,
experience
even
requirements,
Danny
so we
doesn't
had to
buy
go back
it.
out
Nobody
and
buys
re-advertise
it because Tony's not there.
but-
Clay just doesn't want to listen. He's got plausible deniability.
But yes, you are correct. We're working to get some management and some leadership in place over there.
Because I'm pretty sure you're spread
No,
thin.
he's
I
in
mean,
the
you've
crack.
got your
He's
own
not
things to
slipping
do,
through
and now
it.
you
He's
have a
like-
department that has, what, 2-3 people in it now, when it normally has
I think they're down
Had
to
to.
6, or will be down to 6.
I mean, I just don't want things slipping through the cracks, you know, when it comes to human resource. We have anybody monitoring the department at all from your department?
No. Now, Ms. King has helped us in the past with being a point of contact. That's not the case right now, as long as JJ is there. And
So
doing
Curvin, who's been involved in all
Now,
this and
if
found
you
all
guys
them reports,
decide to-
they're just
to
letting
cancel
him
that
sit there in
agreement,
charge
then we'll back
and
up and
create
figure something else
chaos.
out.
Is there a direct
And you've got an
supervisor
administrator
at all
who
over
hasn't
there
got the guts
in
to
that
get
department?
rid of him
Mr. Curvin
because he's
until
so
the 7th of
compromised.
I mean,
We
we-
just can't make this shit up. Lord have mercy. So right now everybody goes to the guy that nobody trusts.
When he leaves, will there be somebody to go to?
No.
So who are they gonna go to?
The truth
You're gonna
being
have
known, Donna,
a lot
it's
of
not
names
just a
and no
tough
choice, so they're gonna
situation.
go to you?
It's
Well,
unbelievable.
that's kind of what's happening right now.
All the people who are
So-
compromised, and I'm just going to further point that
It's
out
really
here
a
in a
tough
little
situation. It really is a bad situation, and I think we need to make it a top priority to blast out there as
bit. And who will tell the truth.
far as we can, that we really need a true HR person with a true HR
So why aren't we
background
firing
to
him?
take that position. And I mean, for me, from my perspective, I don't feel comfortable. There's nobody for me to call in HR to ask them things. I don't feel comfortable with that. I haven't felt comfortable with that for quite some time. And it shouldn't be like that. We're a big organization, and that should be our top priority. That's what keeps our people.
We've had chaos a long
together
time, and we
united,
elected
and
y'all
then,
to stop it.
knowing what their role is, and that sort of thing. And that's where they should be able to go to feel comfortable, and that's not at all what's happening. And my concern is that we've got chaos over there, and I just don't think that what we're paying for is helping in any way the chaos that we have.
Are we reaching out to any headhunters?
I'm sorry.
Are we reaching out to any headhunters?
I can assure this board that we have advertised that position broadly. We've got it on the county website. We advertised it with FAC.
Read that
We
is
advertised
I
it
want somebody
with,
we know we
the
can
Society
steer.
for Human Resource
Dan and them realize that
Professionals.
this local good
There
old
was a
boy
couple,
crap,
I think,
because Nathan
Indeed
used to
and-
play
and
ball for
LinkedIn as well.
Tony when he was a kid, and
I
Nathan's
even
on
made a
our,
phone call
they
as
can't
late as
fire
8
Nathan because
o'clock
he's on
last
our
night to
Walton
the
County
former HR
reflection
director
site.
from
Yeah, you
Okaloosa
can't
County.
make this shit up. The guy that's leaving over sexual harassment, he narrates our benefits package on the Walton County website. Can you believe that? Only in Walton County can the guy accused of having taken the wrong benefits, he's the guy briefing everybody what they are. Good Lord. I'm going to stop this for a second, and we're going to go down to where I really catch them here. Donna had some great points that she wanted brought out here, and they came out. So I don't want to make this show too long, so hang on. Okay, we're going to pick back up here to public comment. Tabitha Howard, who lives in Sandestin, and we'll have some others get up here. She's coming back from that last meeting that I did a show on where Clay went and said some things last week that, boy, I got them on tape, Clay. That's right. You said we never had this, and the county engineers have never said that it's out of compliance, and the developers never put forward a stormwater NOPC. What else did you say, Clay? And that we had a right to have the code enforcement, but the county just doesn't believe that they're out of compliance, even though the state's told them 3 or 4 times. A special master told them. They hired an expert, 2 expert companies and an expert, and they spent about $700,000. They told them they were wrong. Let me see here. Oh, we took what they were saying to the Florida Board of Professional Engineers, and they said the county was using the wrong standard. But today they want to bet it all on Chance Powell that everybody else was wrong, and that Chance can just interpret it however he wants. But so let's watch what code tells Tabitha. It's not, they don't get to give an opinion. They gave that opinion in 2007, and it's been shot down as being invalid. As I said,
The appropriate question to be asked
you
would,
ask the engineer
if the
this,
board wants that, we'll get with our current engineering team,
he'll
our current
say
county
everything
engineer.
complies with the state and county. That's not
Let
what we're
them
asking.
give us an opinion on it. This is an engineering
Sandestin
issue.
is almost 2,000 acres that has its own drainage requirements because it's such a sensitive area to the bay. And they have proof and notice, as Mr. Drake points out, from state agencies that there's not compliance, and they've decided that, they decided the developers never said so, and I'm going to prove that wrong tonight. But listen how long they say a code complaint should take. Go ahead, Tabitha.
This is what it boils
Okay, so
down
they just
to. And
committed to him to put it on the
give the
public
administrator
record.
a chance to get
We
with
should
the
have
county
that
engineer and let
discussion
them
in
give the
public,
board
but Clay
a
doesn't want
written
that. Look at this
opinion, or
look on
at
Clay's
least come give a
face.
presentation.
And Stan knows this
That
is
way the board
bad.
stands on its
This is
opinion of
bad.
its
Look at the
engineers.
All right,
last
will that
one
get us
here.
through
Hang
number
on.
1? If we can get that answer.
Listen closely.
And it would
This
be on the
shows
record what the
staff
drain,
violated the BCC's
It would have to be a
it
public
would have to
record
be
if
on
you
the
put it in
record.
writing.
Yes, yes, with the engine.
It doesn't matter, Clay. What was the motion? Clay's running away with that because Tabitha got it wrong.
Asked for, and what was the conclusion, and did the board?
I don't recall what Commissioner Barker, when he was chairman, specifically asked for. I mean, are we talking about back in 21, he wasn't the chairman? The board did task then, but when he was the chairman, I'm not
No,
sure
he
what he
wanted
did as chairman.
proof of what it
I'm not
was.
recalling that. Do
Because you
Commissioner
had
Robbins?
all these notices telling
actually
you
have the
what it
written
was,
minutes.
and you have an ADA.
My
telling
time's
you,
still gone.
You got
I
a
don't know
special
when he was
master
the chair.
agreement
I don't
telling
think he
you.
was chair,
You got
but
everybody
he asked
telling
for
you,
a,
but your staff, and you went through that whole
investigation,
process for 15
by
years,
staff
and
into
you're
the
trying to start it
Sandestin
over as our
water
staff
standards.
says. Meanwhile,
And I wanted to
they've
answer back.
continued to
And
develop
to
and
your
borrow
point, I
money
don't-
in there, calling it compliant. That's what this is, one big fraud against the public. Go ahead, Tabitha. Yeah, they just disobeyed. That's right. He didn't say it was from the staff. He said they should prove it. County engineer's gonna investigate himself.
Remember that ever coming back.
No, engineering never brought anything back.
Did the board approve his request for an investigation?
Yes.
How
Yes,
about
and
The
they were
board
to bring
did
it
in
back to
March
the
of
board in
21, when he was
6
not,
days.
People who
yes,
are
that was not when he was
accused
the
of
chairman,
breaking
but you're right, that's
Why
when
would
March
they
of
do that?
21.
I believe it was a
And so who
4-1.
was doing the investigation?
It would have been engineer. It would have been the county engineer.
Okay, so, all right.
At the
then-
time, Greg Graham is no longer.
No,
part
it's
of
a
the county.
law issue. They don't get to choose what they want to use.
So what-
They gotta follow the law, Clay.
What would be the appropriate question to be asked in,
The appropriate question to be asked would, if the board wants that,
Hey, and
we'll get with our
never
current
brought it
engineering
up, but
team,
he's
our current
basically
county
telling the
engineer.
board to accept this
Let
answer
them
from the
give us an
county
opinion on it.
and to
This is an
ignore the
engineering issue.
letters from the Florida Board
This
of
is what it boils
Engineers
down to,
that they're
and so
using the wrong standard.
give
To
the
ignore
administrator a
the
chance to get with the
DCA
county engineer and
and
let them give
DEO
the
telling them
board
they
a
gotta
written
change the
opinion, or
standard. They
at
can't
least
just
come give a
adopt one
presentation.
without legislating.
That way the
They
board
gotta
stands
use
on
the
its
one that's
opinion of
the
its
law.
engineers.
all right,
And
will that
Clay
get us to
doesn't
number
want to
one?
admit that.
If we can
Why
get
don't
that
y'all
answer?
ask Clay? Clay, is it okay for us to ignore all these non-compliance letters and telling us what the standard? Are you telling us that if Chance Powell tells us it's okay, we can ignore every other piece of evidence? Is that what you're telling us, Clay? Ask him the real questions, Brad. It's already in the record. It's 8909. And let the public present their side of it if he gets to present.
And it would be on the record what the drain,
It would have to be
it would
public
have
record
to
if
be
you
on the
put it in
record.
writing.
Yes, yes, with the engineer stating, oh, yes. When can that happen?
I'm gonna hold his hand so he
Okay.
doesn't say anything.
Number 2, code
Can we
complaints.
ask for that?
Yeah, let's get a date.
I'm assuming you're asking for that now, so.
Okay, so take that one off the list.
And I will
Their
say,
opinion
our
could
engineering
be
department
that
is
they lost
meeting
their
with
special
Mr.
hearings.
Sunday
They
about
lost the
some
special
stormwater
master hearing.
issues,
They lost their appeal to the Florida Board of
stormwater standards, lots of other
Engineers.
issues.
They lost their appeal to
And I
Dr.
believe this will
Harper.
be a very
And
easy
Chance
thing for him to roll
Powell's
right
name
into.
is on the memo where
Yeah,
it
I'm gonna be
says
there with
Drift
him, but
1,
they've already
Phase
scheduled the
1,
meeting,
and
so.
Phase
And I can
2
certainly advise them
do
what they
not
can and can't
meet
say
the
relative to
DRI
litigation, but
standards. So this
their
is
opinion as to what it
perplexing,
is not
We got
subject
that
to where we are in
document too, but I
litigation at
ran
this
out of
point. So
time. How about they're obligated to? They work for you guys.
they're welcome to give that opinion whenever they want.
Okay, go ahead.
Code complaints. Number 2, code complaints. If I submit a code complaint, I'd like to know what is a reasonable time to expect a response.
tell 'em to go there,
I ask
Donna.
because there are many complaints
Donna,
that
they
seem
can't
to
wait a
go
minute.
without a
They're in charge.
reply for extended periods of time.
Okay, well, let's wait until you get all your questions.
Number
and then
3.
we'll have them answered.
Okay,
Well, I'd rather address them in real time,
I
otherwise they
mean,
get jumbled up.
it'll be real time, but I mean, as soon
Well,
as.
I'd rather, I mean,
Yeah, what's a reasonable time there, Mikey?
I'd rather hear it one.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
fine.
okay, number 2. I have 4 total, so that was,
Within
Wait a
a
minute,
week
you've got
for
code
sure.
right there.
Okay,
Okay.
this board
Tony,
directed
you wanna come out
planning
there?
and code and engineering to prove what they were doing, and I
you can
turned
let
in
Mike
a
do it.
complaint to Stan over 10 months
Microgaining code
ago.
compliance.
I turned into
I don't-
Wade
I don't
Wilmuth
believe
one
we have
before that when
not
Quinn was
responded to
here, and I
any
can prove it.
complaints she's made within a
And
reasonable
Stan
amount of
said that Michael
Just anyone
Gainey
in
and them
general.
didn't understand,
I know
so I'm gonna.
She's
Tabitha
asking what
also
would be a
asked for
reasonable
couple other
turnaround.
things, but I'm gonna skip
Across the
over
board.
that and go to my
time. Within a
presentation,
week, for
and
sure.
you'll see what fools they are. So hold on. This was a little confusing, but she wants to know, show me where the hearing is that changed the language, and the bottom line is, Tabitha, they don't have it. So hold on. So here we are, and Clay said that the developers never had an NOPC for drainage, and they've never claimed it's out of compliance.
Okay,
And they
go
say the
ahead.
staff's never
And
said
then my
it was out
fourth
of
question,
compliance, and the
please,
county
is,
engineers
has
have never said it was out of
Sandestin been
compliance.
granted an
So
adjustment
watch what happens.
to the
Now they've
NOPC
taken
that
that position for
justifies?
the last month and a half. Watch what I come up here and do. And by the way, these documents, I believe, were withheld from me on purpose. And I tell them I've got the email where these documents came from. And I didn't get them until 21. I went through 15 years of hell in my life, and now 18 years in litigation because some county employees thought it was cool to lie. And this is why the Constitution matters, because government has to be fair. And if you want fair, they've got to follow the rules no matter which side it falls on. And in this case, it should have fell to my side, but I was made to suffer for a long time, and others had to suffer for me, and it wasn't fair. And I'm pissed off about it. And when Stan looks at me, you deputy that said I need to quit being hostile, that little midget looked at me in a hostile factor, and you did lie, Stan. I gave up on you, but I didn't tell you to quit investigating. You wouldn't do it. You said your staff was conflicted, but I had a right to have the law enforced, and you don't speak for me, little man. Listen, John, this decorum crap. When that man's sitting there
Okay,
lying
for
to
the record,
you when I
Alan
wasn't at
Osborne,
the
I just wanna
time, I get
understand
to
what-
come here and
get
say
Clay's
what I want to
clarification.
say.
It was
And I
Clay's
don't have to
position
say
last
it
time,
the
and you
way
can go
y'all want
watch
me
it.
to say
All of you have the
I'm not
documents. I
threatening
sent them to
anybody,
you
and
multiple
my
times.
tone
You
is
got them last night,
indicative
so if you want
to
to
the
follow
level
along
of
there in your email.
frustration that your lying
I have
employees
turned in
put
over
me
10
through
code
at
complaints,
great
and I have
expense,
proof
so
of
get
it.
over it.
Unlike
And the
what
deputy
Stan
told me he
said,
didn't
I do
like my
not. I
attitude.
want them
Who
enforced
cares?
just like I
I'm
told
not
you.
here to
I'm
make
taking
an
another
attitude,
option.
and I don't know why y'all need 6 or 7 deputies at this meeting tonight. The guy in the corner, I took multiple pictures of him asleep behind Brad. It was hilarious. We were all making fun of him. Go ahead. Look at that face. Yeah, little man. You lied. Just like your wife said you lied. Well, talk to the guy who's trying to come out of his seat.
Would you please just,
Yeah, I'm taking another option. I don't appreciate the fact that he lied. I want my, you
wait,
lied.
wait,
You
wait,
lied.
excuse me, wait.
He's talking to me.
Okay, wait a minute,
Take
please.
charge of him.
Listen, I
You-
want, Alan, decorum in here.
He started it.
Decorum in here.
Okay, let me go over this. He's told you last time that I did not want code enforced. I wanted
Relevant to my whole
enforced.
life.
I've sent it to him in writing. I told him I'm doing another avenue. I filed a criminal complaint on him and the people who won't do it. But what I'm here to address is what Clay said. Clay said that it is his position that no NOPC has been applied for and that nobody, and that engineering takes the position that it's in compliance. I have documents right here I've only had since 21 because Sydney didn't turn them over, but y'all have them. And let me read what it says here because this is relevant. This is an address from Sandestin applying for an NOPC for drainage standards changes. Okay, it was never given to me in 12 years of litigation. This document proves I got it in 2021, and I've been giving it to you ever since.
Who wrote that letter?
It was written by Sydney Noyes.
No, the other one.
This was written by Danton Consulting, and it says in re, and you have it. It says, because this is part of my code complaint that Clay says I'm entitled to have enforced. I can give you all 6 or 7 copies of my codes that have been addressed. I can give you the letter I gave to Wade Wilmuth that has this. I can give you the letter I told Stan. I talked to Commissioner Drake. He told me to report it to Stan. And he says that Tony and them don't understand it. They've had it for 10 months. He says a week. So listen to what this says. Bob Horner, county engineer. This was hidden from me for years, and I got this proof that I didn't get it till 21. It says, please find the attached analysis for new DRI stormwater criteria and the arguments. It says, we've been meeting with Walton County, and the letter of the date is December of '09, right after you lost the special master hearing. It says, we've been meeting with them and coming up with new criteria. The attached ECA, Emerald Coast Associates stormwater analysis, is based on the agreed new stormwater standards between the county and the developer. It is the intent of Sandestin to submit this NOPC to change this. It says, please accept this letter with all attachments and supporting documentation as the formal submittal for your review and approval. As discussed, this is the NOPC intent to change it. And then he attaches Dean Burgess's, who sits on your planning board and approves this, he attaches this and says,
Clay wants it
proposed
stopped so
stormwater
bad. Clay
criteria
wants
for
it
the
stopped
new
and
one.
he's died.
When
Watch his
Becknell
body
buys it,
language.
just a couple months later,
He's dying.
this shows up as the stormwater criteria the county is using and Greg Graham uses. It's just proposed by Dean Burgess sitting on our planning board. Your engineer, Bob Horner, after this proposal comes up, he tells them that they
Amen.
cannot submit a stormwater change without driftwood and the vested area being included. This says so. He says right here to the county attorney, as I understand, Becknell's team has approached Renee Bradley about the upcoming developments. The DCA, this is your county engineer, and Greg Graham says it again in 2019. So in 2010, while I'm under litigation, but y'all can't admit it, or I'd have got a lot much bigger settlement. See, I'd have got a lot more money if this had been admitted. It says right here, from your engineer, Bob Horner, who was your senior stormwater engineer, he was fired 2 weeks after he wrote this letter. Okay, it says this.
Okay,
The
Alan,
DCA's interpretation of the stormwater requirements of the Sandestin DRI answer Mr. Drake's question, and that's the question he had, is it is a total retention of stormwater runoff until the threshold of the storm of 6.8 inches, 6.7 inches of rainfall, and the applicant's engineer. So this is an application, as it clearly states, for an NOPC on stormwater, and y'all never had it. And what happened was, I can go, does anybody
Alan,
want to hear me?
we have, well, you've gone almost 2 minutes over,
I
so
wanna
I
get
have
to
to.
the bottom of
but-
it.
But the thing of it is,
I wouldn't mind hearing it.
I do have that letter, and I just got that letter the other day. It was brought to my office the
I
other
want it to
day.
just be
So I do
exhaustive.
have it, so.
Okay, let me just finish, and let's get to the facts. If y'all want the facts, this is an application for a stormwater change, and it disappeared. It doesn't change the facts that the engineer admits what the state has directed them is the law, and the state writes them and says, hey, local government, if you want to change the law, propose it. Dean Burgess's proposal in here proposes to reduce it to like 2.33 inches, and he gives his methodology. The methodology doesn't matter, the law matters. And I've turned in code complaints that haven't been actioned, and I've told Stan I wanted them actioned, and I've told Mr. Drake, I've told you, I'm telling everybody, I make shows about it, y'all act like I don't
intentionally
know.
broke the law
Here's the
and made up their
DEO
own
letter
law,
that Greg
and they
Graham
used
then
the
refers to
process.
and says, yes, as he's quitting, Board of County Commissioners, we've got to hold a hearing to change the law, because what's really happened is, now this proposal for stormwater, and now that I have the original, this proposal has now been adopted by Mac and them
Listen,
without legislative
yes, you have
hearing. So
offered
what
an
you
opinion,
had
and you
was
were
a
involved in it, and
staff
I've got those emails
adopted
too.
new
Your
standards
opinion last
and
week
skipped
was there's
the
never
public
been
requirements. This
a
clearly
drainage
indicates because
NOPC, and there
here's
has. It
Dean's
doesn't
other
matter if it
emails
came in.
with
You guys
when
were
he's
directed
representing
to research
Becknell,
it 3
and
years
here's the
ago,
email where it's
and
a
this would have been
proposal.
clear of what has
Where's the
happened.
NOPC?
Look, I'm
so
right
what
now,
Clay
I'm
has
6
said for
minutes and
years is
44
false.
seconds into
The
an
applicant made an
explanation
application
that they
because the
spend
state told him he
hours
had
trying
to,
explain
and the
away,
staff knew it
and
would
I'm
show they were
sharing
doing
what
the
you
wrong
said.
thing,
There's
and so
nothing
I
they can
pay
do about
Considering
every
I've
month.
not offered an
Just
opinion on
leave it to end because he knows it's proven that him and the staff are just lying and that the public's paying and the developers walking away with half the requirements. In fact, Suzanne Harris gets up later and makes them admit that one of the developers realized that they were breaking the rules, so they spent like $1.5 million to comply, which proves The only reason they're not complying with most of these stormwater requirements is it's just too expensive, so they let them break them. That's not a valid reason. You have to legislate it change. You can't just make it because it's a convenient answer when you're the staff or you've broken the law. I asked for code enforcement, and they just simply changed the law to what they wanted. Foul on them. Go ahead. Get them hell. I didn't say it was a current application. I said this one disappeared. It doesn't have to be within your domain to be law. 8909 was passed before you ever saw law school, Slick, and you still quote it. You quote laws all the time that you weren't around for, and you weren't around for this one, Clay, and I've caught y'all in a lie. This proves you haven't researched anything.
Sandestin, I don't believe it's
Mac knows
appropriate
about
room to sit here and say
Code
I made
knows
any
about
false
it.
statements.
Stan knows
I've
about
I'm
it.
talking about what you
opined-
said last time. You said
You said
there's been
that's-
no,
Okay.
you said
Okay.
there's been no application. You
Doesn't
told
have to.
Tabitha
They
for
all
stormwater,
come down
and
for
I'm
each
saying.
other.
There's
Al,
not
wait.
been a
Therein
current
lies
application.
what HR should be looking into. Have HR look at this evidence and investigate this. Have them come interview me and let me lay out my emails of who knew and when. It's a crime. Bet on it. It doesn't.
For NOPC for stormwater.
It's
That's
right here. Y'all never
a
actioned
current one.
it.
That's before I ever sat with
It
this board.
doesn't matter if it's the
Okay,
ordinance is
okay,
before you
all
too.
right, all right.
But
Let's
he
just
interrupted me.
I understand that, but let's finish this up.
But the
And I
problem
tell you what, I agree with you. I think that
Where are
needs
my
to be
code
checked.
complaints?
I don't know, but I think that Mike would be able to help with that too.
Stan says they don't understand my complaints and that they're all so conflicted they can't investigate, which is why I'm trying to turn it into
Well, I tell
somewhere
you
else.
what, let us have an opportunity to look, that letter that you've got there now is.
You all have it.
And you're absolutely right.
What
And
is the
so-
code complaint?
The code complaint was 2017 ordinance, whether Clay is right or I am right, I'm just calling Clay as the county. Whether I win or lose that, the finding of facts on that list 8909 as an ordinance that's still in effect, even if I lose that. And that ordinance is a settlement agreement with the court to follow these drainage standards. There's a reason Danny voted no for it, because he
Look at 'em all
knows
squirming.
that he's seen these letters, and I sat in his golf cart with him and showed them to him that the state had issued a notice of violation. But for some reason, I've been in court since 2007 because I can't get an ordinance. And you know, if you paid $3,000 to $5,000 a month for litigation out of y'all's pockets, you'd be fed up with it too. But this says that Sandestin recognized on behalf of the developer that they had a compliance problem with the drainage. They applied for an NOPC, and it disappeared when Bob Horner was fired. And Renee's initials, where she received it when Sydney sent me this letter, Renee's initials are on it. Max got it, Code's got it. And, you know, the bottom line is, and you know it, you are a legislative and enforcement body. Okay? That what I'm asking you to enforce is your code. Engineer is telling you that Sandestin meets state and local requirements, but Greg Graham said he agreed in this letter specifically with Dr. Harper's calculations that you paid for surveys on to make sure they were correct. You spent like $700,000, and now you want to argue over his methodology, but if you ask Chance, say, hey, does Sandestin, all the projects in it, do they meet the DRI standard, not the state standards? Because the state doesn't monitor the DRI, you do.
Look at Clay's face. He knows.
So we
I've
want
got
the
his
DRI
number.
standards. Well, two of your engineers in the county
That's right.
and the
People
Florida Board of
lose their
Engineers
lives in the
and the
bullshit of
state
government.
and a
The
special
time I have
master
wasted
and your
getting
expert,
over
Dr.
attorney
Harper,
bullshit
said
while
that
they
this is
patted
what
each
the
other
law
on the
is
back.
on the books.
This is
And
why
your staff
America
does
has
not have the
failed.
right
If
to
you wanna
legislate
support
their own
President
laws.
Trump,
You
you've
can
gotta
pass it. You
support
could
the
pass a
Constitution.
0%
And we
retention on
cannot put up with
Sandestin,
this
and
crap
I could raise
anymore,
Cain,
that
and nothing
this
would
can be
happen.
the
It would
standard
still be,
of
if it was
lying our
lawfully
way
noticed,
instead of
ask Clay.
accepting
You could pass whatever you
responsibility for the
wanted.
things that we have
Well, it
done
needs to be
wrong.
But there's a
That'll
procedure
never
for it, but the
work.
fact
You've got
is,
to admit
he's
the
scared of
things
that
you've done
taking
wrong
that's
and
happened.
correct
And
them.
that's why he don't
And if
want to
you
admit
do
it or
that,
talk about it,
then
because
you're
guys
doing
like
it.
me have to pay
You
with their
wanna
lives.
claim you're a
Well,
With their
Christian,
lives.
then
We will-
admit when you're wrong and go back and fix it. Just admit it. That they want to make this about God. Good. God gave them some sense, and I've given them. They've had every opportunity to prove their point, and here I am standing in front of them, and Mr. County Attorney, who has plenty to say, does not want to take a position and comment in front of me because he knows I got his number. This is just wrong, and I'm tired of what it's done to me. It's been hard on my kids. And it basically, they try to alienate you, but I don't give a shit because I don't need other people's, approval of whether I'm doing the right thing. I know I am, and so I do it. Now watch what happens next. I get so pissed off. They all think it's funny. Hey, commissioners, the employees, Michael Gainey thinks it's funny that they never action those and he's not going to investigate his boss. That's the thing. Damn. By the way, when I walked through that den of thieves in there, all grinning with each other, and Audie mumbled something to me, what I said to you, Audie,
Alan, thank you
was
very
what I
much.
said to all of us.
Thank
I said,
you.
fuck everybody sitting here. And I meant it too.
I
You know,
understand.
You guys know that you've
Who is
done
there? Anyone
wrong,
else?
and
Ms.
not
Harris?
One of you could debate me on it. Your little thug lieutenant that tried to follow me out the door. Nobody asked me to leave. You don't follow nobody else out, and you sure didn't search anybody else like you did.
All
me.
right, excuse me,
Take my
Alan.
jacket off. Look, if I was going to go postal on you, you clowns would have been in trouble a long time ago, and there's a lot of people that know it. So this display of BS that you think you're harassing me, oh, you're just kicking the bear, man. Just keep on kicking it, and I'm going to keep on proving that y'all are lying. So tell them, Suzanne, this engineer in Sandestin, when presented the information from me, he added $1.5 million to his project so he could comply. And that's what they want. They want to let these people not comply.
Okay.
When y'all heard the Moxie Hotel by the engineer, it was the meeting that I think Boots was his first time to be chair, the first meeting. When he did the Moxie Hotel, he was very specific. He told everybody he designed the Moxie Hotel to the drainage standard that Alan says is correct. He also said he could have saved Keith Howard could have saved a lot of money if the Moxie had been to the standard that the county was saying. After the meeting, I talked to him. I think Boots talked to him too, because that's the meeting where Boots stood up at the end and went back to the audience and said, no matter what, in my term, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. But I don't think, knowing that that engineer told y'all, and y'all weren't here, two of you weren't here, but that engineer said that night very clearly, I spent months and hours going back to the original Sandestin DRI, and I read every paper in the file, and that's why I have designed it to the
Amen.
standard that Alan said. So I think y'all really need to look into this. It's an explosion. It's gonna go on. It's been going on forever. I've got another engineer that says, I'm gonna design something that's gonna cost the owner a fortune, rather than just doing it like this, which was your standard then. And I think we're at the point of just an
So
explosion.
Suzanne just
And
caught
these things
Stan
can't-
in a lie,
these
'cause
things
Stan's
can't
been
happen in the
steering that
meeting. The most
investigation
embarrassing
way
thing
far
that
from
can happen
anything
in the
that he's
meeting
been doing.
is that planning can't get y'all a ballot that you know how to vote for. And I have one other thing, I have 56
Busted.
seconds. On HR, who in the hell would ever want to come to Walton County as an HR director? All they have to do is Google what's going on. HR director was brought here because of a problem with sexual harassment in HR. He wasn't brought here to interview, to look at applications. He wasn't brought here for any of that. He was going to talk to, what y'all told me, and Stan said, he was going to talk to everybody that had quit because of Nathan. He was going to talk to all the employees there. He was going to talk to all y'all. That was his main reason that he was coming. Now it's turned in to that he's running our HR department. What if we hadn't had him and a head of HR quit? Who would be running HR? Are we always going to go out and hire a law
He's talking
firm to
about
come in?
Breezy.
If planning director's fired tomorrow or quits, are we gonna hire a prisoner group to
But
come
Boots
at a
did.
fortune to run planning? Y'all have got to get a plan here. This is just an embarrassment. Nobody ever talked to the girls. Now, you say, somebody said, well, who are these people talking to? I can tell you who they're talking to. I have a file this thick of people in departments that have called me. I drove up beside one of your employees the other day in HR smoking a cigarette in the county car. Is that legal?
Nope.
Can an aide for an ex-commissioner, can she smoke in her car so much that you couldn't even drive the car because the smell was so bad? So if a prisoner group is running this, then prisoner group doesn't let somebody take 9 smoke breaks a day. They just don't do that. So I think whoever, Stan needs an administrative, he's, Matt, I don't know where Matt is, I guess he's.
And so
just not
that's
here,
how the
right?
shit show
But you've
went
never
down
even
today in
hired
Walton County.
an assistant to you.
You know, I'm glad
that
I'm
you would-
leaving that
you
damn
would
taking
have
place.
your second in command
And I feel
to go
sorry
help
for you
in these
people that
instances.
inherit in this,
I
and you
mean,
don't realize
I don't know if
how
you're advertising
snake
for that or
infested
not,
it is.
but we can't run
I
around
can tell you
hiring
one thing.
attorneys to do this. And we
The
can't
way it's
take
going,
Clay's
Danny
assistant
definitely won't be
attorney,
elected
even though
because he sat
Frankie's
there and done
brilliant.
nothing.
You can't take her
And
and
now
stick
he's
her
just
in
trying to go along,
HR.
get along,
Y'all don't
keep
have
his
a
head
plan
down, but
when
he's gonna
something
be
happens
forced
in
to
a
admit
department.
all the screwed
You've
up
got
stuff
department
he sat
heads
by and
here.
done nothing
Melissa,
about. Like
if
he
she
knows,
drops
he
dead
voted
tomorrow
against
or is in a
Sandestin
car
because he
wreck,
knows
who's
it's
gonna
out of
run that?
compliance. And he
Who
sits
can
there and
really
grins
do
because Clay
Melissa's
tells
job?
him
Nobody,
his own
because
policy
Melissa is
allows him
brilliant
not
when
to
it
talk
comes to
about it.
numbers. Y'all
We
need
can't
to get
have
a plan.
government's gonna lie to us. That's how we got Agent
Totally
Orange
agree.
and all the other shit. Look, government's gonna make mistakes. It's okay. I'm gonna tell you, I made mistakes when I worked for the government. You know, and I've made bad decisions, and I've had to go back and fix them and own up to them and pay the price or pay the tax or just have to eat my own words sometimes. But that's just part of life. And these people are no better than us. They represent us, we the people. And if those 5 people aren't willing to call it fair and realize that it's time to call BS on BS and protect us from being involved in stuff because people have lied, no citizen should be. What's happened to Horsepower Pavilion and Marvin Peavy and all these people like me who've had their lives half destroyed and been made fun of when really what they wanted was the law? I'm going to tell you, and you shitbag lieutenant who followed me out the door like trying to harass me, I left on my own. So I didn't need your escort. Let me tell you something, Slick. I've been to way more training than you. So you walked out there with your male pattern baldness, and I told you to go stick it with that other deputy because I don't really care what your opinion is of my situation. Okay, it's not your business. If I want to say you all suck, that's my First Amendment right to, and I'll just tell you that, okay? I haven't broken any laws. I served the Department of Defense for 35 years and got a whole chest full of worthless medals and ribbons and shiny shit that gets me a pension. But I've damn sure been to enough training on integrity, and I've been in command and in charge of units long enough to know that that's required to do a good job as a servant of the public. Our oath under the Constitution is to do right by the public. It's a directive. It's a requirement. It's not optional. And that's the way it was on the Alan Osborne show. I'm glad there's somewhere beautiful like behind me. Because that government in Walton County, man, I feel sorry for you people. Like I said, I made a surprise attendance tonight because I hadn't been in a long time. And every one of them's hind end started eating the cushion out of the chair as soon as I walked in there. County employees and everywhere. It was like a den of snakes. Some people were excited about it. And tell you, it's sad. It's piss poor sad that the employees of Walton County, and they said we've got more employees than any of our sister counties, who are both bigger than us, Bay and. So I don't understand why we have such a glutton of people, according to what that budget part was tonight. But it's a damn shame that all the good government workers that who would just like to do their job and follow the rules, and they don't need no hanky-panky or payoffs or special favors or to look the other way. It'd be nice if all those employees that we at the citizens gave them the good leadership that they deserve. Working for government, you shouldn't have to be scared. And we've got employees out there that really are in fear of their jobs by these people who continue to break the rules. And here we are sitting letting one of them resign so we can protect another one. It's just unacceptable, and I'm glad I'm leaving it behind. But I want to share all this stuff and all the connections I know, because you had about, counting the deputies that were there, we probably had 12 deputies, because Stan used to be a deputy, and Tony used to be a deputy, and Deputy Dog and Danny used to be a deputy, and now we put Deputy Hokey on some board, and he wouldn't know two sides of a two before, and he's on contractor competency, and he was a shitty bailiff and still is. You can't make this shit up, but when you're pissed off enough and everybody stomped you half to death, all you gotta do, you gotta fall back to what you know sometimes, and me, I just gonna have to stand up and move myself forward and call it what it is. Till next time, I'm Alan Osborne, and y'all keep them straight. The government will ruin your life if they can. Stand up and make them do the right thing. If you can't do it, and if you can do it, help your neighbor stand up. Till next time, y'all keep them straight. You hear?